Now on the 8th of July 2026, Microsoft released TypeScript 7.0, making the most significant architectural change to the language since its launch in 2012. This isn't just a new type or syntax, it is actually a full native port of the compiler to Go. Therefore, in today's video, we will quickly explore the new compiler as well as examining the numbers and how well it really performs compared to Node.js. Now, in case you didn't know, the TypeScript compiler is written in TypeScript itself and is compiled down to JavaScript and is executed on Node.js. While this is impressive, it really struggles to scale with large modern codebases. This is why Microsoft ported the existing compiler and language service into Go with TypeScript 7.0. Now, the great thing is that this should preserve the structure and logic of the original implementation, ensuring consistent and compatible results between the two compilers. So if we're going to have a look at this website right here, this is the official blog of announcing TypeScript 7.0. The link is in the description down below. And obviously you can read this whole blog, but what we really care about is the numbers. And we can see the numbers right here. And you can actually see that these are the real world numbers from companies tested TypeScript 7.0 on production code bases before the general availability. So we can actually see VS Code right here, Sentry, Blue Sky Playwright, and TL Draw. And LOC just stands for lines of code. So in the end, for instance, VS Code with 2.3 million lines of code performed 11.9x better with TypeScript 7 compared to TypeScript 6, which is really significant, especially with such a huge code base. And then you can obviously see more numbers down here. So for instance, the memory delta compared with TypeScript 6 and 7. For instance, it just used 18% less memory with TypeScript 7. And now you might ask yourself, well, why did even the performance increase? Because we can see right here, it is quite significant. And the answers are pretty much easy to say. First of all, we have true multi-threading. Now, JavaScript itself just runs on a single thread, so kind of it is just one call stack and is event loop driven. And Go routines just let TypeScript 7.0 just kind of parallelize type checking across files and even across projects in, for example, a monorepo by just using a configurable pool of parallel workers. On the other hand, we also have predictable memory and GC behavior. So really Go's garbage collector just handles the kind of compiler's huge churn of short-lived objects efficiently, and generally real-world builds also showed significant less memory usage depending really on the project, as we've seen earlier. On the other hand, we also have native compilation and no JIT overhead. Now, the old compiler ran as JavaScript on Node.js or the V8 engine, paying startup costs and JIT warm-up every run. And Go really compiles to a native binary, so execution starts at full speed almost instantly. And now you might actually wonder why no Rust, right? Because all the tool chains are actually ported to Rust. Now, the main reason is because Go could ingest TypeScript's existing tree-shaped cyclic data structures with a near line-by-line port. And as we know, Rust Boho Checker would really have made this extremely painful. So internally, TypeScript abstracts syntax trees and symbol tables are really full of cyclic references, so nodes really pointing back to parents, shared type graphs. And the Boho Checker in Rust fundamentally kind of disallows this kind of structure without heavy use of reference counting, arena allocators, or unsafe workarounds. Also, it would have been a multi-year rewrite and not a one-year rewrite possibly, so adopting Rust would have meant tearing apart and redesigning the kind of type checker's core architecture from scratch. Now, with Go's structural similarity to the original code allowed what the team described as this line-by-line port. Also, it was kind of a path of least resistance. Then we also have this lovely Go concurrency model that just fits in naturally. So Go routines made parallelization and parallelizing type checking in general straightforward with relatively low engineering effort, Rust would have required more explicit complex concurrency management on top of the ownership constraints. So you can actually see that it would have been more complex to rewrite this TypeScript compiler in Rust with all these borrow checking rules and the kind of complex concurrency management or parallelization management in Rust. Now what we can see right here with this picture is the aggregate memory usage in TypeScript 6 and 7, and we can actually see this table right here just in a more fancy graph, and it performs really good, especially in bigger code bases. But I think in the end it really depends of how complex the code is and how good it lets you basically kind of memory optimize this code with the new compiler, if that makes sense. Now, if you scroll down a block, we can actually see this battle tested and ready for production. We can actually see a few real world usages right here with like Slack engineers, and then new services team at Microsoft told us that adopting TypeScript 7 saved them 400 hours a month waiting for CL builds. If this is really true, we don't know, but it is stated right here. And then some Power BI and all that like fancy stuff, Canva developers, you name it. Basically, it's just faster and more memory efficient, so please use it. And now you might wonder how you can actually use it. Well, let's just go into a TypeScript codebase and let's just upgrade from TypeScript 5 in this case to TypeScript 7. And it is as easy as that. We will just npm install and then -d TypeScript. Now I will actually use pnpm instead of npm. And obviously we have to specify the version right here. So we will just say TypeScript at latest. And we can see that TypeScript 7.0.2 was installed as a dev dependency. And then it just works out of the box, right? So we can just say npx tsc, for instance, and then --version. And what we'll actually see is version 7.0.2. Now, because this TypeScript compiler is now available to the public, or it is in general availability, installing TypeScript now ships by default this TypeScript 7.0 and this new compiler. However, if you still want, for whatever reason, to just install TypeScript before 7.0, you can still use this, and you can actually install this legacy compiler still by just saying pnpm install -d TypeScript and then add TypeScript /TypeScript 6, and this will just install TypeScript 6 right here. And then we can just use npx tsc 6 --version, and we will see version 6.0.3. Obviously we have to downgrade this TypeScript version right here or just remove it entirely. But in the end, hopefully you get the point. If you still want to use the legacy compiler, it is available. And if you want to just use the new compiler, just install TypeScript, the latest version, which is hopefully not affected by any supply chain attack. And then you get the new TypeScript compiler out of the box. Now, the cool thing is that you can actually use this TypeScript compiler inside a Go codebase as well. Now, this is really funny because in the end, TypeScript is now with the new compiler kind of a Go module, and I will probably make a separate video about that, how you can mess around with this TypeScript compiler in Go itself, but more on that later. Now the question is, actually should you migrate? Now, to be honest, the migration is quite simple, or hopefully is quite simple, and should be only a drop-in replacement because, like I said earlier, the semantics didn't really change at all. However, if you have a build pipeline that leans heavily on tools like TypeScript ESLint or even a custom Webpack loader or anything really related to the compiler internals, it's worth holding off until TypeScript 7.1 lands with the new programmatic API. Maybe this will be released within the next 3 to 4 months. We are not really sure right here when this will be actually released. Maybe it is already released. But like obviously all the kind of libraries that use the compiler internals need to adapt first, because obviously they have to be refactored and use the new compiler and the new programmatic API of this compiler. And that was it. And I think the future of TypeScript looks fantastic, especially with the Go change. Now, if you are curious about a quick 15-minute crash course of Go itself, then feel free to watch this video right here. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day and bye bye.